the Peace and Mohair Grease Podcast, bringing you reviews in movies, music, television, and touching on the latest hot topics and discussions with your boy, HizWill.
Yo, what it is? What's good, y'all? It's your boy, HizWill. And I'm back with another podcast. Now, tonight, we're going to be talking about the new Netflix movie with Jamie Foxx, starring Jamie Foxx, Dave Franco, and Natasha Liu Bondizzo. And this is called Day Shift. Now, of course, Dave Franco is the brother, James Franco. He has two older brothers. And they look just alike. He looks just like James Franco. It's funny. But, yeah, so we're going to be talking about Day Shift. And the basic premise of it, and I'll read, what it says. It says, a hard-working, blue-collar dad who just wants to provide a good life for his quick-witted 8-year-old daughter. His mundane San Fernando Valley pool cleaning job is a front for his real source of income, hunting and killing vampires. So, we begin this evening. First off, the movie was good. I enjoyed it. Netflix has been stepping up. They have definitely been doing their thing as of late. I have to admit, it's just they just doing their thing, and so. Hold on just a second. Yeah. So, they've been doing their thing. I have to admit, putting out good quality movies. A lot of people is getting contracts and stuff with Netflix and doing things like such as Kevin Hart. And, everybody's getting these contracts. Kevin Hart got a new one coming out as well. But anyway, back to the movie. So like the description said, the gist of it, Jamie Foxx, of course, I would say down on his luck, pool cleaner, trying to make ends meet. His wife, which is Megan Good, stars Megan Good, lives separately. The funny thing is they still love each other, but he's like paranoid, putting all these locks on the door and doing all this type of stuff, and they never know why he's always doing all this stuff. They just think he just, they think he's just crazy, and but they still love each other. And when you see the movie, it is now. There's going to be spoilers in this movie because this is what we do. We talk about the movies, and this is how we get down. So we're gonna start with the beginning. Opens up, he's in the pool doing the little pool thing or whatnot. Waits till the whoever's occupying the house leaves, goes, his little pool tackle box or whatever you want to call it. Underneath it is his guns and, things like that. Now, keep in mind, right now he's freelance vampires. And what he does is once he kills them, he collects the teeth, the fangs, because he goes to the black market underground and sells them. And that's how he makes his money. From doing that, and it depends on different types of, young male, young female, old male, old female. There's certain types of bloodline, royalty in the vampire type world. So if he gets one that's nice, he gets a nice big payday. Now, he's freelance because he used to work with the Union, which is a whole underground organization that comes in, cleans up, that they hunt people. And the movie also co-stars, I can say co-star, because he was in there. Also has, or we should say, with Snoop Dogg. So he, he's works for the org. He used to work for the organization, but I guess he broke so many rules, violation these codes that he was ousted. And to make matters worse, his wife is selling the house and moving. And so he only has 7 days to get a certain amount of money. So this is where everything starts. He calls his buddy, Snoop, pulls up, brings him to the union. Nobody likes him like that. And he has to go talk to his old boss, basically beg a little bit without begging, but you'll see when you guys see it. So long story short, he lets him come back in, but he assigns him a union rep to be out in the field with him, making sure that he doesn't break any type of violation. Now, he wants him to break violations because he doesn't really want him there, so he wants to, have him break all these violations, and so that he can be getting, so he can get ousted ASAP. And his rep is one of those ones uptight, which is played by, Dave Franco, and that's his union rep. That's who he's played by. And so what happens is, so they going out, so he's writing all this stuff in the book and doing this and that after he agrees to do it. But the reason why he doesn't go by the book is because a lot of times in this situation can get you killed. Certain things you got to do, wait around and all this type of stuff. But in the opening scene, he fights his grandmother that was giving him all kind of business. And it was crazy. The action scenes are phenomenal in this movie. It's real good. Of course, Jamie Foxx is an excellent actor, and it was off the chain. So I like the fight sequences. It's not your typical blockbuster movie that you see in there. It's not going to be that, but it is for Netflix, which gives you that same blockbuster feel. It was filmed good. The quality was great. They weren't slacking on that. Special effects wasn't too crazy. They actually used like those dancers and contortionists to play some of these parts where they be flipping their body over. I mean, it was just some moves in there that was out of this world. It was crazy. I really enjoyed it. So he's fighting the grandmother, does that, kills her, gets the teeth after he got beat up pretty good. He was getting the business done. And also kills a male in the house, I guess her son. Takes the teeth, takes it to this it's always like these pawn shop type places that you go into, like Men in Black, and they have it's a front for everything. So you go here, go in through it, go downstairs to the back, and he has all these fangs and stuff and weapons and all that type of stuff. So he's like, look, man, I need this certain money so I can pay this school tuition. Otherwise, my wife and daughter, they're going to leave. So yeah, that's what I forgot to mention. He has to pay this tuition that's due that Monday, as in 7 days. So that's why he has 7 days to do that, because they're going to move. And the tuition's not paid, so they got to move to somewhere they can afford it. She's going to move back with her mom, and he doesn't want that. So he goes in there, gets the teeth. He said, look, I'm trying to look for this. Of course, he lowballs him. I thought you was going to give me this for that. And he asked for, if you want to sell Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes is his gun, his precious handgun. So he reluctantly gives that up. And then he looks down at his feet. Hey, are those Jordans? Oh, gosh. So he had to sell his shoes, too. So he walks out with, with some cash and barefooted. So meanwhile, as you know, he hasn't paid rent in a while, so he lives at this, these slummish-looking apartments. It ain't too bad, but a step above it. But he still hasn't paid rent yet, so he's going through there. He got all these locks on his door and all that type of stuff. So he really needs his money. He needs about, 10 racks or something like that. 10,000, so something like that. And in comes Snoop. Snoop real cool, and he goes in there, and Snoop's acting was good. I'd have to say it was pretty good in this movie. That's Uncle Snoop for y'all, but he was good in this movie. Played like he played in any other movies and stuff, but it was good. Wasn't no cringe or anything with his acting. Let's see, and then we got. Yeah, so he goes in there, Snoop gets him in, so now they're back on the street, he's with the guys, fast forward. All right, so now he's going on these different missions and stuff, goes in the bowling alley, the rep, he tells him to stay in the car, and then meanwhile the boss is calling him, trying to say, man, what you doing, go in there, get blah, 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 blah. All that stuff. He goes in there, Jamie Foxx is on the ground, he's like, give me that shotgun, I need it now. And, the dude freezes up, then he finally gives it to him, Jamie Foxx blows this dude away. Homeboy pees on himself, throws up, all that stuff. He's not meant for the field, as he was begging or expressing that a lot. Man, I keep on yawning. I'm tripping. I guess I'm so relaxed up in here. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just yawning away. But I'm just kicking back in my man cave. You know how we do it. And let's see. So, what was I going to say? Wait, let me make sure I got... Yeah, seconds. Yeah, okay. So there we go in there, and so, they go through the arguing, and how they first get the little partners, and they're just at each other's throats. He's just a stickler and anal about everything. He wants to get him in trouble, but then he finally reveals to Dave Franco, Jamie Foxx finally reveals to Dave Franco that, hey, look, I'm trying to do this because of my daughter, this, that, and the other. So he's like, okay, I understand now. And so they, go out and do their thing. Fast forward to the grandmother who he killed in the beginning. Now, let me back up a little bit. There's a real estate developer. She's a vampire, basically the head vampire. Beautiful woman. That would be Natasha Lou Bordizzo. And she plays basically like the head vampire. Now, we've seen these type of movies, many times. I'm sorry, Natasha is not the head vampire. She works for, they actually mention in the movie, they mention the word familiar. Now, if you are familiar with the Blade movies, you know that a familiar is just somebody that wants to be a vampire. They just want to be down. They're down with it. That's what she is, and they just get bit and they get the powers and stuff like that, but they're basically like little goons or do all the dirty work, stuff like that. It's like you're familiar, like, okay, you familiar, we ain't gonna mess with you, but you're not full vampire or whatnot. So there's that. Now the head vampire, her name is Carla Souza. She is the head vampire there. And she's, beautiful woman, real estate developer. And she goes to the house, finds the teeth missing of her, which was her daughter, but she was an old lady, and they explain in the movie how that happens. They can, with the vampires, how she grows, gets older and stuff like that. So that older woman, if something happened, she happened to get older, that was actually her daughter. So, she's out for blood. Now, the way they found out that Jamie Foxx was the one that did the killing is because he was stabbed with some glass or something, and they picked up the glass and smelled it, and her eyes lit up like a jack-o'-lantern, and she was on his scent. And then so she ended up tracing that scent to the pawn shop, which was where Jamie Foxx had the pawn shop. So, and that character is played by, it was Peter Stormare. So they traced back there, and he finds the teeth of his daughter, and the head vampire tells him, "Hey, look, you got two options. I'm gonna kill you, or you can tell me what's going on. You can help me." And he basically said, "Screw you," and so she kills him. Jamie Foxx finds out, goes back to the store. He finds out what happened. Goes to the store and finds his friend or business partner, or whatever you want to call him, frenemy, however you know how that is. Finds him dead, and he takes his gun back that he sold to him, and gets some teeth or whatever, and like, we gotta go. So they roll out, and then he gets a call from, because as the vampire said, the last person that was the name uttered on his lips before he died was Jamie Foxx, but he plays Bud Jablonski. That's funny. But Bud is his name in the movie, and so she gets a hold of him, calls him, basically threatens him. So him and his daughter, who is played by Zion Broadnax, her name is Paige. She plays Paige Jablonski, his daughter in the movie. Basically, she has to go to a birthday party. He's trying to be there with his daughter. He's always late, picking her up and all that. You know how those movies go. The father's trying to do stuff and they late. And the mother's like, "Look, you got to do better. What are you doing there, So, all that type of stuff that happens. It's, the normal storyline type, down on his luck parent, trying to do this, right by the kid, stuff like that. So, and what happens is he lost my train of thought here. I was looking at something. Where would we leave off? Give me just 1 second here. Where did we leave off? Yes, the birthday party. And so they went to the birthday party, and then that's where he was called by the head vampire, talking about, "Hey, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna take everything away from you. You took my daughter. I'm gonna take everything you love. You took what I love. I'm gonna take everything you love away from you." You know how they do that. And so he's like, "Oh man," he's spooked. Sees some of her goons, familiars in the drive-by looking at him. And he's like, "Oh, okay." So he's like, "Okay, we gotta go." Gets his daughter, hops in the truck. She puts on Mario Kart or something on her tablet, and puts the headphones on, and so he pursues he's like, it's gonna get a little rough here. It's gonna get a little rough. So you need to, just hold on tight, basically. So while she's playing the game and doing turns, she's turning, jumping over stuff, he's jumping. So it's kind of like in the game, and then she's done, and then she sees what's going on, and people chasing her, and all this type of stuff. And he's like, "Man," she's like, "Daddy, what's going on?" And so they're doing that, and she's like, "You need help driving." So she's sitting there, "Turn, Daddy, car, Daddy, all this, that type of stuff. So he basically is helping her, and they get away, get to the house. He tells her to pack a bag and do that or whatever. Goes in there, but she's already there. The vampire lady, she's already there and waiting. And then what happens is, they basically threaten, "I'm going to take her down here to our lair, blah, blah, blah. Your daughter going to die, and such. And so they push Jamie Foxx, or Bud, he hits his head on the stairs. He's knocked out. They gone. The family gone. Meanwhile, he runs to his apartment. And what happened was, I'm trying to remember what happened. There was a scene early in the movie with Scott Adkins, which I love Scott Adkins in all these movies and stuff like that, like karate, martial arts movies. But earlier in the movie, I didn't think I had to mention this, but now I see I do. They went to a house to... there's some like bounty hunters, freelance as well. They work with Bud or Jamie Foxx because they all get money from that, so they help them out from time to time. So they do that. Going to this house. The house turns out to be a hive, and they fighting all these vampires. Another bomb scene. I mean, these vampire women be giving them the business, throwing Jamie Foxx across the room. I feel like Ronda Rousey was one of them, but I don't know. But they was giving them the business. Now, Dave Franco, which his name is Seth in the movie. He was well, you know how it goes. He can't fight, so he getting moving and thrown around and stuff like that. And I believe that's where he got bit. Because all of a sudden, he was fine, and then later, now let's go back to where we were just fast forward back to where we were talking about, where he goes back to his apartment and stuff, and it turns out that his neighbor was actually a familiar, and she pops up, and he's like, they kind of like fighting, but she just throwing him around like it's nobody's business, and he's like, "Why you keep fighting? I'm trying to go get my daughter. Get out of my way." Blah blah. He's like, She's like, "I'm trying to help you." So they fighting, and then he knocks her down or something like that. So they're like, "Okay, cool. All right, what's going on? Okay, blah blah blah." And now that's what it was. He got bit in one of the scenes when they was fighting, and he turns to a vampire basically, but he's still talking normal, and then he's like, Jamie Foxx is like, "Oh no." So he pulls his big blade out, and he's like, "Man." And Dave Franco's like talking, then he'll be like, "Yeah, oh no. What was that? It wasn't me. I can't help it." So he'll lash out, and then he lashed at him, and Jamie Foxx cut his head off. But he puts it back on. He keeps talking, puts his head back on. Now he's holding his head together, and Jamie Foxx and him, they team up now to go back to the apartment. And so he's like, that's weird. It's just this the comedy part of it and stuff too. So he's sitting in the car holding his neck. He's like, I'll be fine as long as you don't hit any speed bumps. Well, he hits a speed bump. Boom, it's a speed bump. His head flies up. He grabs it. It detaches, comes back down, but he's been regenerating. So he's doing that, and he comes in. They come in the apartment again. The scenes where Jamie Foxx and the little girl was kind of fighting a little bit, and then he comes into the apartment after they settle down, talk, and he understands she's on his side. He comes in. I don't feel too good, you guys. He passes out, gets up, his neck and stuff, head is detached back on, so they good. So now he's a vampire. So he has all the. So once he gets up, she gives him some blood to drink out of a little blood bag. He drinks that. He's like, "Ooh, it's a little tangy," and that helps him regenerate even faster. So, that really makes him. And he drank a little bit of it, and he was up and energy and ready to go. And of course, all of a sudden they have these special powers and fighting skills where they turn into, and so they strong and stuff like that. So now it's just them three. So now they got to go get the Fam Bam. So they go down to the lair, which was a old mall complex, an old mall or whatnot, one of them convenience stores, because underneath old electronics are department stores, because underneath is where the lairs goes deep and deep like that. And so they come to all these guys, they in there fighting them, boom, boom, bapa. Then the guys overpower all three of them and shooting, and all of a sudden, big old truck, big Big John Snoop comes in, pulls out I forget what that gun is called, which you got to hold with one hand, with two hands, and it's wrapped around your neck, and it's got the bullets hanging out the side, and you hold it just like in the movie Predator. They were shooting, and he got I think it was Bill Dukes that was shooting that big old gun. He got his arms cut off. He sliced them bad boys right off when he's using that gun. But he had one of those, and it's called Big Bertha. So he's shooting. Boy, he'd take that whole room down. And so they move and proceed downstairs and say, look, we got to get down there. The familiar, which was the girl, his neighbor, tells him, hey, look, we can get down there faster, but you guys are not going to survive that. So you go that way, we'll go this way. So he goes down there, they fight and shooting, shooting out. They get all the way down to where they need to go, and Snoop gets bit. And he's trying to play it off. Like, you know, Big J is going to be all right. He's like, you go. And so Jamie Foxx goes through. Big J shoots the gate, drops down, and says, you go. Like, man, what are you doing? He's like, get out of here, man. I'll handle this. So he's shooting, and then Snoop has this big old, opens his chest up, and it's like this, the silver or the neon lights, like a light flash. I guess it has silver and everything in it as well. Kind of like Blade 2, when they had those high def lights, and when I can't think of the lights, but yeah, those lights, and it kills them or whatever. And so Snoop releases that, and boom, and he's like, dang. And his hat's there left with dust and stuff. So meanwhile, then Jamie Foxx proceeds, runs into the side right-hand man of the lead vampire, which he hella strong. And then here comes, and it yokes up, Jamie Foxx yokes him up, throw him across the table and stuff. And then here comes his partner and the girl. They drop down from wherever hole they dropped in, which you see why they wouldn't be able to survive that, but they could. Come down, so they're fighting that dude. They get him off. He says, you go, we'll take care of him. So they fighting, getting beat up, thrown around. So Jamie Foxx goes in and sees the girl, the lead vampire, man, and she does this like the Flash, comes at him, knocks him across the room. Now she is beating the brakes off of him. I'm like, there's no way that he's any match for her. She's too strong. She's like super fast. You know how vampires be doing. She's flying all over running and jumping all over the place at the super speeds, knocking him. She'll hit him, knock him across the room, and then as he's getting knocked, she'll zip right over there, hit him again, and he's getting bounced around like a ping pong ball. And then he's like, man, what are they gonna do? Like, what can I do? And then his wife stabs her in the back with this wooden stake thing, and she basically turns around and is like, you missed. So she missed the heart, and while she goes over there, takes her, slams her on the ground. Ooh, I know she felt every bit of that. And Jamie Foxx is laying on the ground like, no. And so what happens is Jamie Foxx, he had one bullet left. Shot her in the back of the head. It went through her abdominal oblongata or whatever. And she catches it with her teeth from the back. So from the inside, she catches it, turns around, says, your last bullet. Spits it out, and now she's speeding towards him. And he's just standing there like, yeah, come on. Boom, gets to her. She stops right before him. What happens? Her head is decapitated. Why? Because he set up this wire. He put it from one wall and it connects to the other wall, and she sped right through that, and boom, her head come out. He's like, man, works every time. she falls down. He get them teeth. Gets his family back, and the two that was fighting the right hand man, they pull both his arms off, and then destroy him. So they all meet up again. They see Snoop or Big J, his hat, and he's like, "Dang!" So he gives the hat to Dave Franco, friend. He has some words with the boss. They go back and forth with the violation codes, but then he comes back with a violation code. They go back and forth, and then he's like, okay, whatever. So he keeps his job, and they go on off into the sunset. And then at the end, up pops Snoop from the gutter, and he's like, man, it's one thing, I love L.A. This little line he says. And one thing I noticed about throughout the movie I really enjoyed was the soundtrack they gave us West Coast cats. They gave us, they shouted us out good for that. I'm glad they did that with new songs. They even had a song with the late great Nate Dogg. So he's doing all that, man. It was really cool. So that was one of the things that stood out. The action, the quality, the acting. The music and soundtrack is good. That's one thing that makes the movie too. Them soundtrack and them transitions and B-roll type parts of the movie and the music, always good. When those are good, it helps with the movie. So that's basically what happened, and the movie was good. I mean, I would give this probably, let's say out of 5 stars. No, I say out of. Let's see, on a one, I say out of, okay, yeah, we can do stars. I say out of 5 stars, let's do, I say about, it was solid, so I say at least about a 4. And shout out to Tony Baker. I know he does I like watching his movie reviews too. He does the saxophones. Oh, yeah, so that's cool. But I just want to shout him out for that too, so yeah, you guys. So this looks like this has been another episode. If you guys want to be on the podcast, let's chop it up. Talk about music, movies, news, whatever you guys want to talk about. Hit me up at info@HizWillOfficial.com. And you can also go get merch and music available on all platforms. You can go to HizWillOfficial.com. You can go wherever music is sold online. You see my music there, but my merch and music. And if you guys want to hit me up, join the mailing list. You guys will be able to get some exclusive deals in the mail and some early things. When I'm releasing music and doing stuff, I let you guys get it first. And sometimes you get a lot of free stuff and singles and stuff that you don't even have to purchase. And so join the mailing list. Also, let me know if y'all want to be on the show, and we can find a movie. If there's a certain movie you want to watch, we'll discuss it. It's always better than one, when it's 2 or more. So let's make this thing happen. And like I always say, y'all, it's peace and more hair grease. You dig? Ooh-wee. And I'm out like a sprout, no doubt.
This is the Peace and Mo Hair Grease Podcast, bringing you reviews in movies, music, television, and touching on the latest hot topics and discussions with your boy, HizWill.